Hey traders, welcome back to another daily profit and loss recap video. Today is Tuesday, June 6th. I just finished up trading for the morning and I locked in $1,646 in profits. It was a very tricky morning actually, and in this video I'm going to break down the couple of trades that I placed, talk about my thought process behind them, and hopefully you can take something from my trading and apply it to your own. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first trade that I placed today, which was a profit of $506, was with the stock FRZA. FRZA, if we take a look here at the past couple of days, yesterday in pre-market this was a big mover. It had a nice continuation into the market hours, and then it continued to hold this trend and trade in this price channel that we have drawn on the chart here, all through extended hours and even at the market open today. So because of this price channel that I saw forming, and because of the fact that this was able to kind of close relatively strong the previous day, this was in the Market Master Group trade plans last night for a trade today, and the goal was to buy into the 320 area because that was the key level that we were seeing on the charts. The reason for that was because it was a pre-market resistance level, and it also was a bit of resistance into the end of the day. And with the volume profile, that was also a high volume area. So if it was going to open below that price and reject that price as resistance, there was a good chance that this was probably just going to fade and make new lows. But because it was able to open above that price, I posted an alert this morning. If we take a look over in the Market Master Group, that I was buying a starter position into the pullback in the 320 area at the open. My initial plan was to add if it pulled back to the low threes, but the risk was going to be if it started to break down under the previous day's close, which was $2.92. So I say that that was the initial plan because I actually changed the plans a little bit and I decided to not add into my position into the low threes. The reason for that was because we saw that it kind of consolidated above this channel support here, right above and right around that 320 area for about 15 to 20 minutes before it started to break down. And I wanted to see that there was some demand and some people buying up the stock in that area. And we really didn't see that because it just traded sideways. Nobody was pushing the stock back up. And once it started to break down, that setup kind of changed and I was no longer super confident in the trade. So I will say that I ended up getting a little bit lucky in the sense that this was a profitable trade at the end of the day, because this very easily could have broken down under that channel support and started to break down under 3, and I would have had to cut losses on the trade at that time. But it was able to reclaim that key level at 320, popped back up to VWAP. I told the team at the time that even though I'm not looking to add into the position anymore, I was still hanging on to my shares until it hits my risk level or until it spikes up to $3.50 or higher. So I set some orders to lock in profits into the 350s because the opening range high up here was $3.56. And we got a very quick rip all the way up to a high of $3.63 before it came straight back down to that 320 area. So again, this was a very tricky trade. If you didn't already have orders placed to sell up in the 350s, odds are you wouldn't have been able to lock in profits quick enough into this spike. So I ended up with a total of $506 in profits on that trade, but it definitely was not an easy one. And in hindsight, I would have definitely liked to have put my focus a little bit more into some other plays that we had this morning. But with all of that being said, the other trade that I took for the day was ZURA. ZURA, if we take a look at the 5-minute chart here, the pre-market session, we have a big spike up very early on, and then it kind of just fades lower and lower and lower into the open. However, we could see right at the open, we get this pullback down into the 6s, and we get this very long lower wick on this candlestick here. That shows us that there was a lot of demand during this candlestick and during this 5-minute time frame when the stock pulled back under 7, because it was pushed straight back up, and then it immediately was able to push back up and break above that opening range high. So again, I posted in the group that this was setting up for a reversal. Dip buyers were starting to show up under $7 and it was starting to rebound. I took a starter position in the 730s, and then I actually locked in some of my profits in this initial spike up to VWAP here. So I was taking my shares in the 730s here, sold up in the 770s, and then I still had a small portion of the shares that I initially bought, but I actually added back into that position once it started to form a few higher lows, and once it started to pick back up towards VWAP, At that point in time, I figured there was a good chance that this was going to push back up and start to break above VWAP. And sure enough, that's what happened. So I locked in some profits in the 790s because there was a few times here where it was pushing up into that $8 level. Being that $8 is a whole number, that can psychologically become a level of resistance, which we talked about in the previous video. So I took some profits into that area in case it was going to reject and fall back towards the lows. And then I sold some into this high volume spike through the $8 level. I was hoping to see this push back up towards this 880 area, which we saw was kind of a key level in the extended hour session. And that's when I was planning on locking in the rest of my shares and the rest of my profits, but it ended up kind of falling from the 850 level and came straight back under 8. So after it fell back under 8, I locked in the rest of my profits again in the 790s. And on that trade alone, I ended up making $1,140, bringing my total profits for the day up to $1,646 from those two trades. Both of them were winning trades for me today, so really not much to complain about. There was one other really solid trade setup that we had this morning, which was HOTH. This was really solid for a quick scalp at the market open once we got that opening range breakout. Per usual, we posted the opening range breakout levels this morning in the Market Master group, and HOTH had an opening range breakout level of $3.76. So if I draw that level on the chart, this is what it's going to look like. That is our breakout level, and we can see there is a really big spike straight through that level all the way up to a high of $4.30. Also, very quickly, I just wanted to point out the scanners that we talked about in the previous videos that we're live streaming to our Market Master group team. One of them that we have set up now is the opening range breakout scanner. So it's going to actually in real time give us a list of stocks that are breaking above their opening range. And like I mentioned, the opening range breakout level for HOTH was $3.76. And if we scroll back to this morning, we could see at 9:35 a.m. HOTH opening range breakout at a price of $3.77. So as soon as it started to break above that level, this was popping up on the scanner stream, and it had that really solid spike up to 430. So there was definitely potential there for a quick scalp. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this trade specifically is because of actually the price action that followed. We could see it kind of traded sideways here, consolidated a bit. And if we look at the 5-minute chart, what a lot of traders would see at this point in time is maybe some kind of pennant or some kind of wedge or even a bull flag that's forming at that time. But in reality, this ended up being a bit of a bull trap. And anybody that was kind of buying into this consolidation zone, looking for that next move up to new highs, ended up getting dumped on and ended up taking a loss on their trade. And I think this is a really solid example of FOMO, or the fear of missing out, and how it kind of affects us as traders. The main trade setup with this stock today was definitely that opening range breakout from the 370s. But because it happened so quickly, and because a lot of traders don't have the tools like the scanners that we use in the Market Master group, most retail traders would have missed out on that initial move. And when they decide to get in is probably during this consolidation period here, where the other more knowledgeable traders and more experienced traders are already locking in their profits. So I guess the lesson here is kind of that if a stock has already had a solid spike up, you have to take a look at the price action and ask yourself realistically how much further it can go. Did you already miss out on the majority of the move? And are you only looking to get into that trade because you kind of have that fear of missing out on potential profits? If the answer to that is yes, just avoid trading it altogether. There's always going to be another setup to come, so you don't have to worry about missing out on profits from this one single stock and from this one single trade. And in this case, with HOTH, in avoiding this trade, and by avoiding buying into this consolidation zone, you would have easily avoided taking a loss as it dumped straight back down through VWAP and is most likely going to continue to fade throughout the rest of the morning. All right, so those three were my main focuses today. Again, my total profits were $1,646. Hopefully you found some value in this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you want to hear about the stocks that I'm trading in real time, you want to watch our live scanner streams and work with our team of traders, there's going to be a link down below in the description for you to come join us in the Market Master group. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.